Hello and welcome. I am Giovanni Hallart. Today I'm just working on a drawing anatomy study, back view, and just finishing up some little details and hopefully maybe get some color in there. Yeah, be a chill stream. Also be watching a documentary, a true crime documentary. Yeah, let's enjoy. I'm Giovanni Hallart. You can follow me on Instagram, Tumblr, X, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon. Links are in the bio. Alright, let's get into it.
The story you're about to see will shock you. You'll come away questioning your faith in our system of justice and how it failed a young woman with so much to live for. Renee believed she'd met the man of her dreams.
She said his name's Braden and he's 24.
Except she hadn't met him at all.
Are you Braden Spiteri?
Someone else was writing their story.
Sort your daughter out, she's threatening to kill herself.
I can't be without you, baby. You're my
With a tragic ending.
Do you regret what happened? I trusted you. You came into my home.
A liar is exposed.
Pure evil would be about the best way to describe her.
But will there be justice for Renee?
She hasn't gone in vain, and I'll make sure of that.
The Gap in Sydney's eastern suburbs. It's a dramatic and foreboding place, the scene of up to 50 suicides a year. In 2013, 20-year-old Renee Marsden took her own life on the day a turbulent 18-month relationship ended. It came as a terrible shock to her parents, but over the following weeks and months, they would discover that Renee and their entire family had fallen victim
That's
to
crazy.
a monstrous deception.
For Renee Marsden's parents, Teresa and Mark, the memory of August 5, 2013 is forever etched in their minds.
What was the first inkling that you had on that day that something was wrong?
On the Monday morning, Renee got up like normal, went to work, and she always got home about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was standing at the bench and she walked in, and I could tell there was something wrong. I just looked at her and she was deflated. She wasn't crying. I could tell she was upset. And she just walked past and I said, "Is everything all right?" She said, I'm fine. It's okay, Mum. And she walked upstairs to her room. And then I received a text message from Braden.
Braden Spiteri was Renee's boyfriend of 18 months and a prisoner serving time for manslaughter in Goulburn Jail. He sent Teresa a text message from behind bars.
What did it say?
Sort your daughter out, she's threatening to kill herself.
That's a difficult moment for any mother. So you obviously went straight up to speak to her?
I did. I walked up to her room. She's sitting on the edge of her bed and I sat beside her. And I said, "Have a look at this." And I showed her the text message. I said, "Should I be concerned?" She said, "Don't be stupid, Mum." And I said, "What's it all about?" And she said, "I finally found out what he's all about." She said, "You don't have to worry about him anymore, Mum, it's over."
Braden had been in jail for most of his relationship with Renee. They'd only ever communicated online and had never met in person.
What?
But
That's
that hadn't
crazy.
stopped him taking her on an emotional roller coaster. Braden's blunt breakup message to Renee signalled the end of their relationship. Or at least that's what her parents thought. What they didn't know was that Braden would exchange a further 91 text messages with their daughter that day.
Went back up to her room to check her, and she's getting changed. And I said to her, "What are you doing?" She said, she's reapplying her makeup. And I remember saying to her, she was pinning her hair up.
My gosh.
And I said to her, "Why you got such beautiful hair, Renee? Why don't you just leave it down? It's beautiful, you know?" She said, "No, Mum, I'm just going out to dinner with the friends from work. It's all good." I said, "Okay." I said, "You going to be long?" She goes, "No." You know, Renee was never out late. If Renee went to dinner...
Be home at 9:30.
Renee gave Teresa every impression she was okay before she left home. Teresa had no idea that her daughter was driving towards the Gap, Sydney's most notorious suicide spot. Just before 6 p.m, Renee sent Teresa a final text.
And what was the message?
She said, "Mum, I love you,
Oh no.
and I'm sorry.
Want to earn
Come
$1,000
on,
per
man.
day and then $1,000 per day? You'll only need 5.
I'm sorry for my...
I'll always love you.
Yeah." She said, "I'm sorry, you're my best friend." Even at that point, when she sent me that message, I look back and I think how much she must have been hurting. And for her to still care about how I felt.
That is so sad.
Alarmed by the message, Teresa drove to a friend's house to discuss it with her.
Once I showed my friend that message, she said to me, "I think maybe we should ring the police." And they put out an alert to see if they could track her down.
The police began their search, and it was soon revealed that Renee had sent 2 other texts. One to Braden, who had just dumped her, and one to her best friend of 5 years, Camilla Zaydan.
I actually called Camilla the night Renee went missing. And I asked her, I said, "Have you heard from Renee?" And she said, yes. She received a text message from Renee, and I said, "What did it read?" And she said that she loved her and that she was sorry. And she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Renee hasn't come home." She said, "Not a problem, I'll come and pick you up and I'll drive you around to where I think Renee would go." And I said, "Fantastic." So she did. She came around here and she picked me up with her mum. We drove to McDonald's, where she thinks Renee would have went. And she also took me to Braden's sister's house. Apparently lives in Glenhaven. So we drove up to this house. I went to get out the car and she said, "Well, Renee's car's not here and I don't think Braden's sister lives here anymore, so she's obviously not here."
Meanwhile, the police had wasted no time tracking Renee's phone to Watson's Bay, near the Gap.
We had the police come round about 9 o'clock and said to us, more or less at that point, it wasn't good.
We can't find her.
We
We're
can't.
searching the area, but we can't find her.
And we found her car. We've taken the car. I got upset that they took the car because I thought if she's gone for a walk and she comes back, the car's not going to be there. She won't know what to do.
Did the police tell you what they found in the car?
No,
No.
They didn't.
no.
What did they find?
Inside Renee's car was a Valentine's card from Braden and Renee's old iPhone, which she had stopped using 2 months earlier. Police also discovered that Renee had used her finger to scrawl, "I love you, Braden," on one of the car windows.
Whoa.
You and I drove down there, didn't we?
We were panicking, we were worried. We went down and did our own walk around, trying to find her, calling her name. We probably spent 2 hours. I think we got a few hours sleep, and then we went back again in the morning.
Wow.
And we found a pair of shoes.
Yeah. I did find her shoes. I picked them up and I looked at them. I got quite upset, and I think behind me was a police officer come up, and she took them off me and told me to put them back, and she removed me from the scene.
Oh my gosh.
There was a point where the police had to be very honest with you about their fears. What did they say to you?
The police said, go home, virtually go home and prepare a funeral.
Renee's body was never recovered. It was most likely swept out to sea after she jumped.
Mark and Teresa blamed Braden for Renee's suicide. He dumped her on the day that she died. They messaged him, but he failed to reply. So they turned to Renee's close friend Camilla Zaidan for answers. She was the only one who'd met Braden in person. But Camilla seemed more interested in Braden's welfare than mourning the loss of her friend Renee. Camilla comes to you in the moment of your utmost grief.
Yep.
And she wants you to think about Braden.
Yes. Yeah, she said to me, he's hurting too. And I think it was you at the time said,
Yeah.
how would you know if he's hurting? How? And she said she actually spoke to him. He actually called her. And he's hurting, so we have to leave him alone because everyone's blaming him. I said, I've given the police Braden's phone number, and her demeanour changed straight away.
You got to get it back.
She said, you got to ask for it back. And I said, why? So nothing was making sense. So Camilla was starting to say things to us that wasn't making sense.
Next,
He said, oh, there's an app that can help us.
how a 13-year-old boy helped reveal the true identity of Braden Spiteri.
I was shocked.
What's this app? I'm curious. Now.
Renee Marsden took her own life on the day her boyfriend Braden Spiteri dumped her from his jail cell. To understand their relationship, we need to go back to her previous relationship with her first love, Angus.
Renee, I met whilst getting a haircut at an old place she used to work at, Miss Elizabeth's hair studio.
You cut your hair?
No, she didn't actually. So, funny story, she was the trainee apprentice, the hairdresser apprentice, who, when I would come in, she would wash my hair and give me a head massage. I used to go in, not needing a haircut, but just as an excuse to see her and meet her. She was very bubbly, beautiful, kind, very down to earth.
Oh, you're recording!
Before long, they were dating.
And you made plans together. You had a contract together.
We did. We came to a conclusion that we would have 4 kids, a Labrador, and wrote up a funny love contract with each other early on in the relationship. They were the best years of my life when I was with her. It was a very good relationship. And unfortunately, what was going on behind the scenes, I just had no idea at the time.
Behind the scenes, Renee's close friend Camilla was bad-mouthing Angus. She wanted an end to the relationship.
I was quite...
I took 2 things that I love,
What's wrong with this
dancing and
girl?
dogs, and I made them into a success.
And left questioning how and why such a good relationship that I believe, such a loving relationship, had such a quick ending with so little explanation and reasoning. I later on found out that it wasn't so much what I did, but it was all part of Camilla's plan. She had really deteriorated Renee's mental health by constantly pestering and pestering her, wearing her down, and feeding her false stories.
The night she came home, told me she had just broken up with Angus. We sat at the end of her bed and she was just crying, she was sobbing, and I said, "What's wrong, Renee?" She said, "I just told Angus it's over." And I couldn't believe it.
Camilla, who had poisoned her friend against her first love, now steered Renee into another relationship.
You hear this name, Braden Spiteri. When was the first time his name was mentioned?
She said, I've been speaking to somebody. And I sort of stood back and who you been talking to? And she said, his name's Braden and he's 24. And I went, it's a bit too soon, don't you think? She said, no. Camilla's introduced me to him. And it was her ex-boyfriend.
What?
Camilla Zaydan had been Renee's best friend since year 9. The two were very close. So when Camilla introduced Renee to Braden Spiteri via text and social media, he seemed like a good match for her next boyfriend. She couldn't see Braden or talk to him, but there was a reason for that.
Camilla had told Renee he was involved in a motorcycle accident. His best friend was on the back of that bike. He was killed, and Braden was sentenced to manslaughter, sent to Goulburn jail. But Camilla had arranged for a phone through his lawyers. The family was very wealthy, and he can keep in contact with Renee.
Why is she doing this?
Renee's parents thought the situation was bizarre, but they wanted to support their daughter.
All you're interested in is your daughter's happiness.
Yeah.
And this person seemed to make her happy.
Yeah.
100%.
He was saying to her everything she wanted to hear.
Well,
Everything
that's
she wanted to hear. He knew that she wanted, what her goals were. She wanted to get married, wanted to have kids, wanted that life. He knew all that.
That makes it even more
Camilla
wicked.
told Renee she could not see Braden in jail because he'd given up visiting rights in exchange for a reduced sentence. Camilla claimed Braden had illegally obtained access to a mobile phone but could not make voice calls. The only way to contact him was via text and Facebook. Their dialogue was intense and took over Renee's life.
At one point, I sent a message to Renee through Facebook, and he responded. And that's when I first found out he had her passwords. And I said to him, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to my daughter. So you need to leave. And she said, Mum, that's Braden. And please don't speak to him like that. I said, well, it's true, Renee. If I want to have a conversation with him, I'd contact him. I don't want to contact him. I want to speak to you. So he started to come in between Renee and I, yeah.
Braden hated that Teresa kept in touch with Renee's ex-boyfriend, Angus.
I made a comment on Angus' Facebook profile. He had done something and I liked it. Braden, he sent me a nasty message and it said, how dare you? How dare you like your daughter's ex-boyfriend's message? What sort of a mother are you? And he called me an unfit mother. He made me feel so bad. I was shocked. It was the first message that I've received from him. And I'm reading this thinking, what young man speaks to a girl's mother like that? But at that point, I didn't want her to pull away from us. I still wanted to have that relationship with her. So I said to Mark, let's just let it go.
That's crazy.
Months after Renee's apparent suicide, police were still trying to understand what led her to take her own life. The answer could have been in her new mobile phone. but that went into the ocean with her. Police still had her old handset, but they couldn't unlock it, and so that was returned to Mark and Teresa. This was a crucial moment, which would lead the Marsdens to the truth about Renee's relationship with her boyfriend, Braden.
The Marsdens' 13-year-old son Luke had a friend who believed he could crack Renee's old phone.
He said, oh, there's an app that can help us. Got online. He said the app's $100. We paid for it with our credit card. And 10 minutes later, he downloaded thousands of text messages from the phone.
What app is this?
These were scrambled, though. It took some work to...
Yeah, it took some work, but we were told by the police at the time they'd had the phone for months and were unable to, for whatever reason, get the text messages. He was able to do it with a $100 app at 13.
That's crazy.
What Mark discovered was staggering. Over 3 months, from March to June 2013, 11,000 text messages, mainly between Renee and Braden and Renee and Camilla. Mark began to look for patterns as to how and when the messages were exchanged.
I plotted on a spreadsheet all the conversations between Renee and Braden and Camilla and Renee. And when you plot them on a chart, you can see that it's pretty obvious what's happening, because when Camilla's Camilla, she'll text Renee 4 or 5, 6, 10 times. And then there'd be another dozen text messages between Braden and Renee. Braden stops his text, Camilla starts texting Renee. It wasn't as if they're all intermixed. They're in segments, in and out. At that point, I realised, and I said to Teresa, it's got to be the same person. I sent that chart to the police, and they came back and said, yeah, it's from the same tower. They're one of the same people. Braden is Camilla, and Camilla is Braden.
Coming up.
She'd called more than 16 times.
How Camilla Zaydan took control of Renee's life.
You hide, I'll hunt you down.
How could you live with that?
Most project management tools are like a black box. No idea who's doing what until it's too late. But with most...
There's something else.
Marsden has just discovered that Renee's boyfriend, Braden Spiteri, does not exist. He was invented by Camilla Zaydan using 2 mobile phones.
2 phones. Personal phone that Camilla uses to text everybody, all her friends, and 1 phone dedicated solely for correspondence between Braden and Renee.
And you realised at that moment that Camilla had been in total control of Renee's emotions, your whole family's emotions.
Yep.
And friends, everybody.
Everybody.
With
What
a story
kind of
that
friend
so
does
well
it?
put together, it's faultless. It would have taken a lot of time for her to put it all together, because even now I look back on it and I don't think I could have written a better script myself.
Now, you're not police, you're not lawyers.
Yeah.
What did you expect would happen to Camilla?
We thought that she'd be... there'd be some charge put to... she'd be charged for something.
Renee had been catfished. That's when someone uses the internet to lure, deceive and manipulate others, usually for money or in romance scams.
I spoke with Marilyn McMahon, a professor of criminal law at Deakin University, to find out more about catfishing.
Well, catfishing does raise a number of possibilities in relation to criminal offending. The ones that immediately come to mind are stalking and intimidation, which has been used to prosecute people who've engaged
Sorry,
in
Black
catfishing
Death
before.
97.
You think about the sort of scams that involve financial fraud, and there are various criminal offences that can be utilised there.
This is a mature
You think
stream
about the Commonwealth
of
offence of
anatomy.
using a carriage service to menace, harass or offend a person. So having run through those offences, though, in the case of Renee Marsden, you see that none of them immediately seem to be applicable, and that is really
The podcast is
challenge.
very mature. It deals with sensitive subjects such as
The New South
self-harm.
Wales Police had never seen
So
a
if you're
case
sensitive
like
to
this
that,
before.
I suggest you
The
may
creation
want to
of
catch my
Braden
next
Spiteri
stream.
was clearly linked to the suicide of Renee. But Camilla Zaidan had not broken any laws because no money had changed hands. So no crime had been committed. This was a terrible blow to the Marsdens. They knew just how much control Camilla had over their daughter.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
Camilla was
You're
obsessed
welcome.
with Renee from day one. I don't think at any stage did she ever leave Renee alone or for any length of time.
But what an evil friend to do that to your
Renee
own friend.
confided in one of my nieces that Camilla had pinned her up against the wall and made sexual advances towards her.
Oh.
I think from the onset, Renee was frightened of Camilla. Camilla's much bigger than Renee.
Wait a second.
And
Is her best friend secretly in love with her? That's why she doesn't like her to see her with no one else? That is crazy.
Renee didn't know how to handle that. She's never been in a situation like that before, with someone so aggressive.
Yes, the gluteus
and
maximus
full on.
in the back and the spine. The shoulder blades and
understand more
scapula.
about Camilla's hold over
Scapula.
Renee,
You can see some
I
of the
caught up with
shoulders.
Renee's cousins, Stephanie and Michael. Stephanie went to the same high school as
That's
Renee and Camilla.
crazy.
And did you ever know Camilla?
Yes, I did. So I met her in year 8. She was magnificent at driving a wedge between Renee and I for about 3 years.
Why? She's so
And she was
jealous.
just jealous. She didn't want Renee to sleep over my house anymore. She didn't want Renee to come to the movies with me or to parties with me, to go out clubbing with me.
That's crazy. I know, for
If
real.
Renee did have a sexual relationship with Camilla, it was brief. Renee was interested in boys. When she left school in year 10 and started dating a boy, Camilla's jealousy flared in a chilling prelude of what was to come.
I swear to God, kid, you're going nowhere. Do you understand? You abuse me, I'll laugh. You kill me, I'll be your ghost. You hate me, I'll still love you. Run away, chase you. You hide, I'll hunt you down.
He's in love
When
with
Renee
her.
enrolled in a
Well,
hairdressing
not healthy
course at a
love,
local
obsessed.
TAFE, Camilla soon followed suit. And whenever Camilla could not physically see Renee, she stalked her on the phone.
Oh my god.
Renee and I were travelling to Bondi. It's about a 50-minute car ride from where we are. And in that time, she had
Of
caught her more
sex?
than 16 times. And I just remember thinking, like, you've got to be joking. Like, what? Who in their right mind calls 16 times? Like, even somebody in an emergency wouldn't call an ambulance 16 times. And Renee was just like, it's all right, don't worry about it.
I had some friends in
And
the
I
past
just had, like, anger.
where they had partners, male and female friends, whatever. But the partner will I was hanging out with a female friend, and this guy would not stop calling her like every like 5 minutes, and it was insane. I was like, "Yo, is this guy okay?" But I guess he was super insecure and jealous. I know people always throw that out there. But this guy was the embodiment of that. Like, he would be calling her every, like, 5 minutes. And I think because, I guess he heard my voice in the background or something. Like, I was not interested in this girl at all. Like, this is, like, literally, no, I'm not interested. But I guess in his mind, he's like, oh, there's another guy in the background. Something's going on. Like, this guy was super, super jealous. Like, she would have to take the phone call and leave, like, the spot. Like, that's not normal. At that point, if you're constantly calling, the person who's out, what's the point of them even being out? Because you're hogging up their time. It's like, just stay home. Then you have some friends who are getting new relationships, whatever. Not hating on that. It's like good for them. But you know, their new partner is constantly calling. It's like, yo, are you here to hang out with us, the boys? If not, I was just hanging out with you, girl. I'm too scared to call anyone. You too scared? Well, it depends. If you're calling for a reason, if it's like I have no problem with people calling. There's purpose, but if you're just calling the call, it's like, you know, like I'll get annoyed. Let's say I went out or something, and the person knows that, and they're constantly calling because they want to know my location, what I'm doing. That would irritate me. It's like, don't do that. You either trust the person or you don't trust the person. It comes down to it. Or what makes it worse is when you have no obligation to let them know where you are and are inquisitive about that. That drives me crazy.
Anger against it because I couldn't understand how could you live
Yeah, you let the person live the lies. You know what I mean?
with that.
Too much cleanness is not good.
And that was just 50 minutes. Like, can you imagine a whole day? You wouldn't have any free time. And if you did, you'd have so many different thoughts going through your head.
Or I knew
Camilla
this
even
one,
saw
I
Renee's
had a friend,
mother.
his partner will deliberately make him upset to spoil the mood anytime we hang out. I was like, wow, that is messed up. Well, luckily, he left there a long time ago. But she would find some kind of argument or something to spoil his mood. Like, there's nothing worse when you hang out with your friends, whatever, kind of a boys' night out or something. Then your mood is spoiled because, you know, your partner says something like, oh, you don't care about me, blah, blah, blah. That's the manipulation to the highest degree. It's not normal. Anyways, back to this podcast.
As a threat.
I think deep down she
Oh
despised
my
the fact
God.
that Renee was so close to me.
You jealous with the mother?
And that showed in the fact that
How you jealous with the
Renee,
mother?
on Mother's Day, she got a tattoo and she had my name. I'll never forget it. I nearly died. I thought, why would you do something like that?
You
But
jealous of
she
her
had
mother?
down one side of her, down her side, then she had down her torso. Life is beautiful because of you,
Oh my
Mum.
God.
And then she had my name. And Camilla did everything in her power to have Braden's name put on her.
Renee agreed to get a fresh tattoo of Camilla's alter ego, B. Spiteri, inked on the right side of her chest. This was just 3 months into the relationship.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Camilla was now inside Renee's psyche, manipulating her friend's emotions at will for her own amusement. However,
That's not a
she
friend.
also knew when to pull back.
There's a period where it stops. How did that happen?
That stopped because of my comment to Camilla and to him. I said to the both of them, if you were half a man, you would leave my daughter alone while you're in prison. And he then said to Renee, I agree with your mum. I think it's only fair that you sort of do what you got to do, but when I get out, you're mine. And she agreed. And then she started to go out. She met with one of the gentlemen at work, and
Wow,
she
she's a
started
pretty
a
girl.
relationship with him.
Tell me about Ian.
She said, Mum, I've met somebody. And I said, okay, great, fantastic, tell me about him. And she said, he's a lot older than me, 12 years, I think it was.
The Marsdens were delighted. Ian treated Renee well and made her happy. However, it was only a matter of time before Camilla
Yeah,
reactivated.
jealous of the
Braden.
mom. That's crazy. I'm getting distracted. I should be drawing more.
Ian
Yeah, that's
started
crazy.
getting abusive messages from Braden. So he started now feeling the brunt of, the full brunt of Braden, not just Renee, but it was Ian as well.
Oh,
What were those
gosh, this
messages?
girl needs help.
How dare you?
Leave Renee alone, she's mine.
I have a relationship with her. She's mine. I'm looking to marry her after I get out. Bugger off.
Yeah,
And here's a guy messaging from jail
yep,
in a threatening manner.
yep.
Yep.
Ian's just your average guy. He's not used to this.
Yeah.
What was his reaction?
he couldn't believe it. He was saying to Renee, you know, like, get rid of this guy, get him out of your life. He gave Renee that ultimatum because he couldn't stand the fact that he was getting all these abusive messages either. But Renee chose Braden.
Oh my God.
Next, will the real Braden Spiteri stand up?
Are you Braden Spiteri?
Definitely not. I'm not Braden Spiteri.
I finally got a generator on the mountain so I can one-up my neighbor Paul this holiday.
I just
And
wanna
Michael's
know.
has decor and trees even I've never seen.
I just want to know, when people do these crazy elaborate things, pretend to be someone else catfishing, what is their end goal? Because if you're catfishing as someone you're definitely not, someone you don't know, eventually the person wants to meet with you. So what's the end goal for that? You think they're going to stay in a relationship where it's over online and never meet a person forever? I just want to know, what's the end goal when people get into that, if you're seriously in love with that person? Does it feel like they can communicate with that person through someone else and be someone else more and more bold? But then they're falling in love with someone else and not the actual person who they are, but the cat, I don't know, it's messed up. Like, I don't get it. I don't know people. I'm saying I understand people who catfish because they want an end goal of getting money. But if you actually love the person and want to be with them, how can you keep catfishing as someone else you're not? Just imagine, put yourself in that mindset. You have this image of someone with a catfish, whatever. Then you meet the person, it's not them. Then they try to say, oh, it's still me. The conversation was real, it's still me. Like, no. People fall in love with their eyes, let's be honest. And then the personality. I don't know, it's crazy. Anyway, we'll keep going. This is crazy.
Police searched Camilla Zaidan's home in relation to Renee's death. They seized her mobile phone, but she'd already deleted most of the messages she'd sent in the guise of Braden Spiteri. Police did find the photo that Camilla used to create Braden in the first place. A current affair tracked down the man in the photo.
Tonight, the face behind the fake identity speaks out.
Are you Braden Spiteri?
Definitely not. I'm not Braden Spiteri.
The man in the picture is Cameron Lang.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Catfish more than money thing. I understand people who do it.
Out there, that's
Like, the people who catfish for money, I understand what they're doing. Like, they're doing it so they can, like, you know, get as much money from you. They have no interest in meeting you. But the people who are catfishing that are actually in love with the person, what is their end goal? That's the thing. I'm just saying, if anyone's doing, like, a lot of people meet their partners now through online dating. Like, it's no secret anymore. Online dating is the main way people are meeting people now. I'm saying, if you're gonna meet online date, if the person cannot go on face cam or do anything to prove that they're real, that is a catfish. There's no way. Camera phones are so accessible to anybody. They can get a picture, a friend to take a picture and send to you. If you're communicating by text, by internet, you have access to a camera. There's no way. Like, oh, I can't FaceTime because my camera's broken. Nah. That's the one way you can prove that someone's real is by FaceTiming, whatever. We have an online relationship. And they always come to an excuse why they can't meet in person. Yeah, it can be true for the first couple of times. But then after that, you have to question, is this real or not? I guess people are so in love with the idea of being loved, they overlook those things because it's a good feeling. They want to risk making the person upset and in their mind make the person chase the person away because they don't believe them. So yeah, it's a play on emotions. It's so evil. People who catfish, especially, I don't know, it's messed up.
One wants to be.
Yeah, if you have access to the internet, you have access to the camera. Like right now, I know I'm using that PNG avatar. I have access to a camera. Like there's no way if I really wanted to prove who I am, I could use a camera. Even the VTubers have cameras. But honestly, if being a VTuber, there's a point to it, you know. But that's just beside the fact. Like even VTubers have cameras. All those faceless creators.
Associated with.
Did you ever know?
That's 100%. I'm gonna make that a slogan. If you have access to the internet, you definitely have access to a camera. Unless you're someone super paranoid and uses technology with no microphone or cameras built into them, but those are very far and few between. And you'd be more inclined to meet people in person then, if that's the case.
Camilla Zaydan.
No, I don't remember ever meeting her.
I'm sorry, back to the podcast and I'm drawing.
Anywhere, at any point in time.
That's
Cameron
crazy.
later thought the photo may have been taken at a night spot years before. He was also collateral damage. Camilla shamelessly continued to lie to Teresa.
Well, you look back, what was her demeanour through this period?
Well, she was always the same. You know, Braden loves Renee, Braden misses Renee. And, you know, when we'd ask her how she'd know, well, she talks to his lawyers. So she always had contact with his lawyer.
Yeah,
so
it's weird.
I never questioned it because I thought he must be a family friend.
The closer Renee and Braden became, the less Renee wanted to do with Camilla. She was tired of Camilla's psychological warfare and wanted to end their friendship. She planned to do this when Camilla went on holiday to the US.
This girl is evil.
She was gone for a month. So at the same time, Braden was going into his parole hearing and he was going to be released in the next couple of months.
So both Camilla and Braden off the scene for a month.
Renee had told us that Braden won't have his phone because he'll be in his parole hearing. Camilla obviously not going to have hers because she'll be in the States.
Camilla's absence was a welcome respite for Renee. She opened up to her mother about years of abuse by Camilla.
This is the first time I heard, while Camilla was overseas, the extent of the abuse from Camilla to Renee.
She's
First time she
obsessed.
sat me down and said, Mum,
Oh my
there's a
God.
problem.
What did she say?
She said to me, the last straw was they were driving down the road and Camilla tried to take the steering wheel out of her hands while she was driving.
What?
Camilla wanted to kill her. Pulling of the hair, punching at the head, that was it. It was done. She said, I'm done. She
This
said she
girl's
went
crazy.
psycho one too many times.
Renee told her mother she'd messaged Camilla to end their friendship.
She said to me, I've finally told her it's over. Once and for all. The friendship is done. I'm not trusting her ever again. I'm not taking her back. And I said to her, why would you do that? Why she's overseas? And she said, she can't hurt me anymore, Mum.
Yeah, that's
Renee
messed up.
poured
This
her
girl.
heart out in a letter to
Sorry,
Braden
I know I'm
that was
interrupting.
found.
This girl is super obsessed with this girl. I think the fact that, from my understanding, I guess they might have had a thing in the past, but it seems like this girl is more into men and probably was just experimenting. And I think Camilla maybe of the LGBTQ community. So I guess she can't handle the fact that the person she wants to be with is not interested in her or women anymore. So, you know, it's like I understand. I'm not excusing what you did. I understand, you know, people, if you spend a long time with someone, may develop feelings, but at some point you have to realize the person made it clear they don't want to be with you and they're moving on. You just have to either decide if you can be friends with them or move on. But forcing someone to love you, it'll never work. It'll never work.
Found in her bedroom dated the 22nd of July.
My beautiful boy, I have finally let Camilla go for good, and I feel so much better about it now. I can't be without you, baby. You're my rock, my hero, my everything.
That's so sad.
Renee believed the lie that Braden could not return her text because of his parole hearing.
No,
She
no,
was
no.
expecting he'd soon be released
Why not going two
from
times
jail
speed?
and was making plans for a wedding and a Greek honeymoon.
Oh, this girl is sick.
But everything changed when Camilla returned from her holiday.
Wow.
While Camilla was away, she had no access to her mobile phone. and only read the messages Renee had sent to Braden on her return to Sydney. Renee was planning a life with Braden that didn't include her, so Camilla moved fast to re-exert her control. On August 13, she decided that Braden would dump Renee, so she sent a text to Renee from Braden saying, "I think I need a break, and so do you."
This was
So she lost her
perfect
best
for
friend.
to end it all.
Well, she
And over
ended
the
things with
course of
friends who was
that day,
toxic. Then she lost her
the way she
boyfriend in
broke it
her
up, I think,
head.
was blunt and
So actually
brutal.
has to be a lot in
And I
person.
think that is what made Renee so distressed, is the manner in which Braden broke it off with Renee.
Then Braden started his barrage of text messages to Renee. And they would have been quite abusive because by the tone of the message I got from him, I can imagine what he sent her.
Camilla, posing as Braden, exchanged 91 texts with Renee on the day of Renee's death. Only Camilla knows the content of those messages. But we do know they drove Renee to take her own life. And we do know that Camilla...
I do the
The
back of
best gift you can give this season isn't found in a box.
Hold on here. Get this part.
Because posing as Braden, she sent a text to Teresa saying,
And I do the back of
"Sort
the,
your daughter out.
I guess
She's
the
threatening
top.
to kill herself."
It's like lacy.
Camilla could have been honest with Teresa and saved Renee's life that afternoon.
She chose
But
not
instead,
to.
she chose to create another false narrative.
She wants control.
She pulled me out the front on the second day and said to me she had to talk to me. Everything Renee told me about her, she was telling me about Renee, that Renee was very violent. Renee used to bash her. Renee was seeking help because she couldn't control her temper. I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, I'm beside myself. I've just lost my daughter and you're worried about yourself.
Coming up,
Do you regret what happened?
justice.
Look at this
Do you
person.
regret what happened?
What justice?
I trusted you. You came into my home. Every occasion.
Biggest belief that you can do this to another
can't do that
person
to people.
and walk away as if nothing's happened.
No, you can't do that. That's evil. Playing people in motion is a dangerous thing. I know why people do that. That's so heartless.
New South Wales police never charged Camilla Zaidan for her role in Renee Marsden's suicide.
This, I hate this part.
The case stood still for
I hate this part. It's so unfair, even though she's the cause and the reason, because you know the emotional manipulation and all that stuff. From my understanding, if she never coerced her into killing herself, self-harm, then unaliving herself, then she's not one to blame. But I do think there should be some cause in law. If you're causing extreme emotional distress to someone, that you should be held accountable to some degree. I think there's like another case where there's this boy who was reaching out to someone and was talking to some girl in the school or something, and she kept pushing him to unalive himself. And eventually, when he reached out to him when he was in a sad moment, he eventually took heed of her words and did that. And then she acted like, oh, she was so innocent and felt so sorry for the family loss when she was the one pushing him to do it. Like, how evil you have to be that you see someone suffering, hurting, that you're pushing to do that. I think she got held accountable for that. And it should be. That's messed up.
7 years. Until after intense pressure from the Marsdens, a coronial inquest was finally held.
Yeah. If someone is the main cause of it,
Do you regret what happened? Do you regret what happened?
she's so selfish. Like, oh, if I can't
Camilla
be with
gave
you,
evidence
don't be
at
with you.
the
That's messed
inquest.
up.
But she was
Pathetic.
given immunity from prosecution in return for her testimony.
Look at you.
Did you go along to the coroner's court?
Yes, we did.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting to Camilla, I guess, tell the truth, particularly when she was granted immunity. I saw no reason as to why she couldn't just tell us. Even if she didn't want to tell us everything, she could have at least told us 50 or 60% of what really happened in the end.
Sick.
Camilla had 7 years to reflect on her actions, but in court, she chose to spin another lie, portraying Renee as a co-conspirator in the creation of Braden to hide a sexual relationship between them.
Camilla Zyden admitted to the coroner Braden had never existed, claiming she and Renee had made him up together. We were never going to be accepted. She wasn't allowed to be around me. We made the character that way. She was allowed to see me, the 27-year-old told the inquest.
Yeah, it's messed up. You know what it
The
is?
Marsdens were outraged.
In this case, I don't think she told her to unalive herself, but she caused the emotional distress. You know, like people will be in a very heightened emotion mood when they're going through a breakup or something. And she was vulnerable. Like the loss of ending a friendship. I'm pretty sure she probably didn't want to end that friendship with her. But that has some toll. Because that's something like, you know, there's always going to be some feelings there towards her. And from my understanding, they said they had a past kind of experimental relationship. So there's then that. Then find the person you invest in all your time and just end things with you. That can really mess someone up. It's like hearing bad news. Like, I don't know if this ever happened to you, like working at school or something, and you hear bad news and people see this sudden change. Not that you can unalive yourself, but it affects your mood. Like, you can't focus. People are talking like, hey, what's up, man? You're like, huh? You talk to me? They're just so focused or mind shattered from the bad news. But yeah. I don't know. Some people are just evil. They like to this control and manipulation to make, I don't know, it's just messed up. People who usually have no power, like bullies, will pick on someone who can't defend against themselves because it makes them feel more strong or more in control. In reality, the person who's bullying is like has a worse life or is just miserable and insecure. So it's for them taking out how they feel on you.
I
It's messed up.
trusted you. You came into my home. My home, I trusted you. You could have told me any time.
You heard their voice, the hurt in the mother's voice.
And in this ridiculous story, you expected to believe that Renee had set the whole thing up with Camilla in order to conceal their lesbian relationship from you.
It doesn't matter if you're gay, lesbian, but it doesn't matter.
I'm pretty sure
If one of my children come home and told
if
me
you're
that they were gay, I would love them the way they are. We're accepting. It doesn't matter who you are.
I'm sorry I interrupted again. Exactly what the mother said. If I was a parent, what would you rather have? Your kid alive, tell that they're well and alive, and they're LGBT, whatever? Or would you, whoops, sorry, I just dropped my pen. Or them kill themselves because they can't tell you that. Like, I'd rather have my kid tell me that. I'd rather have my kid alive. Oh, no, that's crazy. People are messed up.
While Camilla maintains
Yeah,
Renee knew she was
poor
acting
mother.
as Braden all along, text messages and emails between the pair suggest otherwise.
In a text message brought before the coroner, Braden
So I have to
suggested
get
to
my pen. I
Renee
threw it away.
that she have sex with Camilla to get her anger out. Renee responded with a
What?
firm no.
Oh my God.
Renee even sent sexual videos and photographs to Braden and asked him to reciprocate, which of course he.
Hello, everyone. I'd like
You
to tell
gotta
you
be
about a
kidding me.
movie app.
There's no way this girl was using Braden to tell her to have intimate relationship with her. Oh my God.
The best way to describe her.
You wouldn't think someone could be so evil.
All we want to know is just why her. You know, why put our beautiful family through all.
Luke Marsden was 13 when he lost his big sister.
Oh my God. Well,
What
that's
was
the
it
brother.
like seeing Camilla give evidence?
Can I say that on camera?
You can.
It's so heartbreaking. I'm sorry.
Poor guy. That's your sister, man. It's all right.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't cry. Just seeing the person that took your sister, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
She didn't deserve it.
She literally ruined a family for her selfish reasons. Monster.
Camilla, she had such an opportunity to come clean and she lied to all of us. Still, even to the point where the coroner knew that she was lying and said, Camilla, tell the truth, she still lied. That's the most heartbreaking thing.
Yeah.
Renee's first love, Angus, wonders what might have been if not for Camilla's actions.
And you see the damage that was wrought on everybody, including yourself. And at the end of all this, there's no crime.
This was something she had planned and executed with military precision over months.
Yeah,
it was
ruined
something
his
that has
relationship
left
with
people
her.
questioning the judicial system at how someone can intentionally do so much harm and damage to so many people and live a matter of kilometres away from the Marsdens, still living her life as if nothing ever happened. And she's moved on.
That's sick.
She's now got a husband and kids.
What?
She's completely flipped on how she used to see herself.
Seriously.
And she's now living a happy life as if none of this ever happened.
Wow.
We still see her up the local supermarkets at Jewel. Bump into her from time to time. When we're shopping, don't we?
Yeah.
It beggars belief. That's the best way I can put it. Beggars belief that you can do this to another person
That's
and
crazy.
walk away as if nothing's happened and get on with your life.
Can you imagine seeing the person responsible for your daughter's death every day?
I cannot
you can't do
imagine
nothing
the heartache and
legally?
distress the Marsdens feel whenever they see their daughter's tormentor. Renee never knew she was being catfished. She jumped to her death thinking that Braden, the man who dumped her, was real. The coroner concluded that Camilla, the catfisher, was the sole architect of an astonishing deception. However, he stopped short of recommending criminal charges against her.
And at the end of all this, the coroner notes your hurt and the terrible things done to you and your desire for a law that protects other families in the future from this happening and says, I'm sorry, I can't make a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's a slap in the face.
It is.
The Marsdens feel the law has utterly failed.
Exactly.
It may be too late for Renee.
She's living like nothing happened. I really wonder if the person she married is just there because she has a disguise to hide from her past. If she really loves him or just, I don't know. But the guy who married her, I question him too. Like, does he know about her past?
But they want to see the legal definition of catfishing broadened to include what
Yeah, it needs to
happened
start
to
making
Renee.
catfishing a criminal.
We can't allow this to happen to any other kid. Boy, girl, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
She
trying to
hasn't
be
gone
someone
in vain.
online is
I'll make
crazy.
sure of that.
I want to clear Renee's name.
Next, the big push to introduce Renee's Law.
We want catfishing to be outlawed. We've got to do something, and we need to do it pretty soon.
Yeah. The only people who will be opposed against this law are people who catfish. That's my conclusion.
The New South Wales coroner found that Camilla Zaidan was solely responsible for the deception that led Renee Marsden to
Yeah.
take her own life.
Sorry. This gets me really
However, police
angry.
were unable to lay charges against her because they lacked evidence to prove that she or anyone else actually encouraged Renee to harm herself.
That's the point right there. Even though she didn't tell her to do
Suicide
it,
is not a crime.
I still blame her,
but
but she
the
didn't.
encouraging of a person to commit suicide, where the person does take their own life, is
Yes.
typically a crime in most Australian jurisdictions.
But the burden of proof is high, And the evidence must be so explicit that someone literally has to say, why don't you go kill yourself to get such a case up. Is that correct?
I think you're just adverting to one of the real problems in relation to Renee Marsden's death, and that is much of the critical evidence has not been able to be recovered.
Before police seized Camilla's mobile phones in December 2013, she'd deleted thousands of text messages she had sent to Renee under the guise of the fictitious Braden Spiteri. The 91 messages exchanged on the day of Renee's suicide were of most interest to the police. They could have shown exactly how far Camilla pushed Renee on the day of her death.
That's what I'm curious about. How far did she push her?
However, Camilla deleted the messages, and attempts by police to recover them failed.
No, the phone company can't do that.
Whatever happened to Renee's phone? Police recovered her old phone when they searched her car at the Gap. However, her new phone was never found. It's believed she threw it over the cliff before she jumped.
So if they find that phone, then they will know.
Teresa went to Vodafone's Sydney headquarters seeking Renee's phone data for more answers.
But they won't give that to
down
you
with a friend of
for
mine.
privacy
walked
reasons.
In. A lady came down and spoke with me. I told her the situation, and she said, I am so sorry to tell you, but after 7 days, all messages, they go up to like cyberspace and then they disappear. Unless the police ask to put that phone on hold, nothing gets kept. So my world crumbled.
Everyone's forgotten who runs this valley.
So sad. Get that part there.
Because I knew
We were too late.
we were too late.
That sucks.
This brings us back to the Marsdens' campaign to have the law changed in the wake of Renee's tragic death. As the law stands, catfishing is only a crime when someone seeks to benefit financially from the deception of a victim. Renee's case wasn't about money. Camilla just wanted to have total control over Renee.
Yeah.
But the coroner, to her credit, she recommended at the end making changes to the domestic violence laws to do with coercive behaviour or coercive control, which would encapsulate Camilla's behaviour.
It was a scene of unimaginable, inexplicable horror.
Alright, we're gonna work on the top now.
Inside the burning SUV, the tiny bodies of sisters Lena, Elia, and brother Trey Baxter.
That is crazy.
In 2021, the Queensland government
Let's go grab a drink. I'll be
announced
right back,
plans to
guys.
set up a task force to investigate coercive control laws in the wake of the horrific murder of Hannah Clark and her 3 children by her estranged husband.
I don't understand these people who... How can you kill your own kids?
Reviews into coercive control legislation are also underway in New South Wales and the Northern Territory.
Most coercive control offences are limited to the relationships that they cover. Typically, they will apply to persons who are married or who've been married in the past, who are living together in some form of intimate relationship.
That's
when a
crazy.
relationship is conducted entirely through text messages, one of the first questions I think that will arise
I just realized the video wasn't
does
showing.
this fit the sort of relationship that coercive control laws are meant to cover? Now, it may be that it does. I think the fact that they did various intimate exchanges through the text messages, that they planned a wedding, and that Renee had actually booked a session with a wedding photographer indicates a degree of intimacy in that exchange. So I think a coercive control offence remains a possibility if this was to occur in the future.
Even if coercive control is covered by new legislation, this wouldn't be retrospective. And it wouldn't be enough to satisfy the Marsdens, who have been through so much. They fear another trusting person like Renee could fall victim to the cruelty of catfishing.
Yeah, it's
We want
messed up.
catfishing to be outlawed, where you take on a false persona and use that to mentally control somebody or mentally abuse them, whatever. That, to us, needs to be made illegal.
So it's up to the politicians now, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What response have you got from them so far?
Everybody agrees this is problematic. It's just getting them to act and do it. What we want to do through the media is to get some momentum there to say, yeah, based on this story, we've got to do something and we need to do it pretty soon. Otherwise, it's not going to go away.
Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that.
The coroner's findings in Renee's case are
Thank you for the
available
follow.
online, and I urge everyone to read them. You'll understand how the law cannot protect your loved ones from the same fate. Social media dominates young people's lives, but it's also a new front for criminals and the unscrupulous to harm them. Renee's death is a tragedy that really should inform how social media is regulated. And now it's up to the politicians and the legal profession to find a lasting solution.
I think before Friday, Jake and I need to get the ute and get all those tiles. Because
As the Marsden family tries to move on with their lives, the trauma of Camilla Zaydan's outrageous deception is still evident.
It impacts everybody, every day.
We've lost a daughter. I've lost a best friend.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. That's so sad. Unfortunately, I have to get going soon, but I would like to come back and finish up this drawing. Right now, I just have to finish up the back of the top, so the bra strap and all that stuff, or lingerie piece, whatever you want to call it. Then we'll go from there. So yeah, there'll be different versions of this drawing, and when it's done, I'm gonna start a new drawing. But this is like I'm just doing little studies here and there. So yeah, when I'm finished this drawing, I'm gonna start another one, and then I just want to work on more posing and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm Giovanni Hall Art. Unfortunately, I have to get going soon. I'm gonna end the stream here, and next stream, hopefully we have a more lighter topic and subject to watch. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Giovanni Hall Art. Hope you guys have a good one. And you can follow me on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, X, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon for more. Links are in my bio. Have a good one. Bye.